Steady, standing concrete pillars, ready to hold the weight of not only Kenya's largest project yet, but one of the country's greatest expectations of hope. The Standard Gauge Railway, one of the many finance-heavy infrastructure projects that the government continues to push on in building. But the dynamics around these very constructions are breaking down the faith of a number of Kenyans on if the returns are worth the financial input and exposure, especially given that they are largely financed on debt, with the health of Kenya's debt level often being put to question.
Our debt is about 50% of our GDP. Of that amount, less than half of it is in foreign currency. Our debt has grown almost proportionately to our GDP. At no point has the country been at risk of default or shown any inability to pay its creditors.
The concern of debt, and by extension the tightening grip of its chains, echo the chilling harms of a declining economy. But the head of state is not party to that song.
At the macro level, all indicators are healthy. Our gross domestic product has expanded at a strong average annual growth rate of 5.9% since 2013. This against a global average of 3%. The state of our economy is robust.
However, even with the president's address to the nation, there was the acknowledgement of what is largely seen as a disconnect between the big money and investment talk at the top and the fruits of the same at the bottom.
There are still, however, too many Kenyans who are struggling to make ends meet, to find jobs, and to support their families. Wananchi want to know what these economic indicators mean to their lives. They cannot relate to how GDP impacts on the price of unga or what the stability of our currency means for them at the end of every month.
And this is a truth that is embodied in many situations. In the past 2 years alone, thousands of Kenyans have been served a bitter cup of retrenchment, one whose contents have an aftertaste that they may not afford to wash off. Company after company has been retrenching employees based on various reasons, but one main one is the tough economic times. Further, about 20 companies in the Nairobi Securities Exchange have issued warnings of profits dropping by at least 25%. However, the president sought to contrast this with figures of the number of companies setting up shop.
Since 2013, over 1,532 major companies from across the globe have set up shop here in Kenya. This, honorable members, compared to less than 40 often quoted companies that have either relocated for corporate strategic reasons or downsized and closed for lack of competitiveness.
One of the ways to tame the unemployment dragon would be to boost local manufacturing. However, much as there have been various firms setting up factories in the country, there still remains a disconnect.
In my view, a lot of the growth has not been as inclusive and broad-based as it should be. So the impact in terms of poverty reduction, job creation is not being felt on the ground. And that is because a lot of the investment we've done is long-term. Things like infrastructure, we might not see the gains today, but it's for the good of the economy in the long run. But we need to see how to bring more people to the table so that it seems more inclusive, so that every Kenyan is not skeptical about what the government is doing.
Amid the disconnects, concerns, as well as visible progress, there continue to be deep, hope-laden calls for ways that the common Mwananchi can connect the dots between speeches served from high podiums and emptying pockets and plates served with low amounts of food. Dan Mwangi, NTV.